Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I am absolutely passionate about, a fantastic framework from Edutopia called the 8 Principles of Deeper Learning. Look, if you're in education, you already know that creating a space where students are just completely absorbed is the ultimate goal. But actually getting there? Yeah, that can feel like a serious uphill battle. So let's just address the elephant in the room. We've all felt that shared pain point. How in the world do we spark real curiosity when we feel completely trapped by strict pacing guides? We desperately want to give our students meaningful tasks to solve real-world problems, because we know that's when engagement absolutely soars. But, the reality of standardized testing and proficiency requirements, it's a heavy weight to carry. It kind of feels like we're constantly stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? On one side, you've got stifling pacing guides and this hyper-focus on isolated, discrete facts. On the other side, you have the dream, authentic, hands-on, purposeful experiences. The crazy thing is, when we are actually empowered to design the latter, we hit those baseline standards anyway, all while building the crucial soft skills students actually need. We're talking collaboration, complex problem solving, and sheer perseverance. To get us there, our lesson plan for today looks like this. First, the engagement problem. Second, 8 steps to mastery. Third, deeper learning in action. And finally, the ultimate takeaway. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the engagement problem, the reality of modern classrooms. So the root of the issue here is that teaching to a test completely crowds out meaningful real-world application. When a curriculum is entirely dictated by a strict pacing guide, students just end up memorizing isolated facts. They are literally starved of the chance to practice deeper cognitive tasks. And what happens? They're left lacking the collaboration and problem-solving skills they are absolutely going to need for the messy realities of the outside world. Moving right along to Section 2, 8 Steps to Mastery, the framework. We're going to chunk these 8 principles to make them super easy to digest, starting with the first 4. Principle 1, set clear learning goals and success criteria for self-assessment. Principle 2, use compelling content to create authentic interdisciplinary tasks. Principle 3, build a collaborative culture. Think flexible groups or Socratic seminars. And Principle 4 is a big one, student empowerment. Give them a choice in how they show mastery, or even better, let them co-design their learning. Now, what's really cool about Principle 5 is that it relies on intentional instructional strategies to systematically hand ownership over to the learner. A perfect example of this is the gradual release of responsibility. It's a structured progression, right? You start with direct instruction where you show them, move to guided practice where you help them, and finally hit independent application where you just let them. It's a beautifully simple, evidence-based way to build up student confidence. Rounding out our framework, Principle 6 emphasizes using authentic tools and resources, really prioritizing the learning process over the final product through strategies like blended learning. Principle 7 is huge, a focus on literacy in every single subject. Yes, that means writing lab reports in science or technical manuals in shop class. And finally, Principle 8 is all about building continuous formative feedback loops. And honestly, this right here illustrates the absolute emotional core of a deeper learning classroom. When feedback is formative rather than punitive, it provides students with psychological safety. It makes it safe for them to take risks and try new things without that paralyzing fear of failure. That feeling of safety, that is the true bedrock of deeper learning. Let's jump into Section 3, Deeper Learning in Action, Langston Hughes Mock Trial. Okay, so let's actually see this framework in action using Langston Hughes' short story, Thank You, Ma'am. Instead of just assigning a dry, run-of-the-mill book report, a teacher transformed this simple 2-character story into a thrilling problem. The teenage character, Roger, who attempted to steal Luella Jones's purse, is literally put on trial as a juvenile offender. Suddenly, literature becomes a living, breathing legal case. How cool is that? But, behind all the fun and theatrics of the trial, this lesson was firmly anchored by 3 rock-solid learning goals. The students needed to cite textual evidence, analyze how an author develops character points of view, and write arguments supporting claims with logical reasoning. The trial was just the compelling vehicle used to reach those 3 rigorous academic destinations. So how do you actually pull this off? Here is how you turn abstract theory into a vivid mini-narrative. Step 1, build background knowledge. Maybe hop on a video call with a local court official. Step 2, assign specific roles to the students. Step 3, have students write a strict 3-paragraph argument citing their evidence.
Step 4, they collaborate to refine their case with peers. And finally, Step 5, you run the interactive courtroom simulation.
This is where Principle 4, student empowerment, just completely comes alive. By stepping into specific roles, students actively embody complex literary themes. A parole officer examines Roger through the lens of rules and shame. A social worker views his background through empathy and care. A child of Luella Jones evaluates the impact of forgiveness. Rather than passively receiving a lecture, they are deeply, deeply invested in their unique perspectives. And notice how this 4-day timeline purposefully bakes in Principle 3, a collaborative culture. Students don't just write an essay in a silo and hand it in. They share arguments with peers in the same role. They brainstorm trial questions together, and they revise collaboratively before the pressure of the actual trial, where everyone participates as a judge, jury, prosecution, or defense. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, the ultimate takeaway: authentic problems provide purpose. The big light bulb moment here is that deeper learning totally transforms classrooms. When you provide students with an authentic problem, like defending a literary character in a mock trial, and you give them the right tools to solve it, the learning completely transcends those baseline standards. It stops being test prep, and it becomes a truly memorable, real-world experience. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought. Looking at your own curriculum, regardless of what subject you teach, where is just one place you can hand the reins over to your students today? How might you implement just one of these 8 principles in your classroom tomorrow morning? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I really hope you found the inspiration to design your next unforgettable lesson.